Welcome to Ian Cinema, your destination for endless entertainment and unforgettable movie moments. Discover exciting films, inspiring stories, and cinematic journeys across every genre. Whether you love action, drama, thrillers, or timeless favorites, there's always something waiting for you here. Sit back, enjoy the experience, and let Ian Cinema bring the magic of movies to your screen. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at the movie hoppers. We'll explore the storyline, summarize the plot, and introduce the main cast and characters. We'll also discuss the film's production, box office performance, reviews, and share our personal reactions. So, let's dive right in. The film begins with a young Mabel trying to rescue several classroom animals by secretly smuggling them out in her backpack. However, she's caught before she can escape. During the commotion, a fire alarm is accidentally triggered, getting her into even more trouble. Later, Mabel's parents drop her off at her grandmother Karen Ho's house. At first, Mabel is quiet, upset, and withdrawn. Wanting to cheer her up, her grandmother takes her to a nearby forest, encouraging her to slow down, observe nature, and patiently watch the wildlife. As the animals gradually emerge from their hiding places, Mabel becomes deeply inspired by the beauty of the natural world. Over the years, Mabel continues spending time with her grandmother, helping and caring for as many injured and abandoned animals as she can find. When the time comes to choose a college, she decides to stay at her local college instead of moving away so she can remain close to her grandmother. Sadly, her grandmother eventually falls seriously ill and passes away. Before her death, she gives Mabel her beloved jacket during one final heartfelt outing together. Now living alone in her grandmother's house, Mabel struggles with grief while trying to protect the forest they both loved. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry insists that the local wildlife has disappeared and pushes forward with plans to redevelop the area by building a new freeway, even if it means destroying the forest. Mabel strongly opposes his project, and the two frequently clash, especially as Mayor Jerry campaigns for re-election. Determined to stop the construction, Mabel stages a protest by standing on the site where work is about to begin. The mayor gives her just 48 hours to gather enough signatures to support her cause and prevent the project from moving forward. After experiencing a series of frustrating setbacks, Mabel tries to win support for her environmental campaign. She approaches an elderly man, kindly helps him, and begins explaining her cause, hoping he will sign her petition. To her surprise, the man misunderstands her request because he's hard of hearing and writes a grocery list instead of adding his signature. Determined not to give up, Mabel returns to Beaver Creek University and interrupts Professor Dr. Sam's class, passionately speaking about the importance of protecting the local wetlands, convinced that the only way to persuade the community is through the beavers themselves. She spends the entire night searching for one. Eventually, Mabel spots a beaver and quietly follows it, only to see it being loaded into a mysterious van. Curious, she tracks the vehicle to a hidden laboratory at the university, where she witnesses the beaver using a keycard to unlock a secure door. Before she can investigate further, she's caught by the researchers, including Dr. Sam and his team. Inside the lab, Mabel discovers the shocking truth that the beaver is actually a highly advanced robot created after years of research. Dr. Sam reveals that he has developed several robotic animals as part of the Hopper program. This groundbreaking project allows humans to transfer their consciousness into robotic animals, enabling them to communicate with wildlife and observe different species from up close. Realizing this technology could help save the wetlands, Mabel takes matters into her own hands. Ignoring Dr. Sam's warnings, she enters the robotic beaver she encountered earlier and escapes from the laboratory. However, An old eagle suddenly grabs her and carries her deep into the forest before dropping her. When Mabel regains consciousness inside the robotic beaver, she's amazed to discover that she can understand and communicate with other animals. She soon meets a laid-back beaver named Lou and rescues him from a bear called Alan. However, she quickly learns that Alan wasn't actually breaking any rules according to the natural order of the forest. Predators are allowed to hunt their prey. Afterward, the forest animals take Mabel to meet King George, the wise leader of the beavers, who has gathered many of the woodland creatures into one large community lodge. Mabel learns about the bond hosts and discovers how the entire animal community lives and works together in harmony. During this journey, one of Dr. Sam's colleagues transforms into a robotic bear to observe the wildlife without disturbing it. After Mabel tries to explain the glade to George, she realizes the animals abandoned it because Mayor Jerry had secretly planted fast-growing trees that emitted high-pitched sounds only animals could hear, driving them away. Determined to stop the destruction, Mabel attempts to destroy the trees. Connor tries to capture her and take her back to the lab to prevent her from interfering with nature, but he fails. Mabel successfully destroys the trees, convincing the animals that it is finally safe to return. The animals come back to their home, and Mabel grows closer to George as they talk about life. During their conversation, she learns that George became king only after his father cast him out, leaving him with responsibilities he never expected. Jordan later asks Mabel to become the future queen's personal advisor, recognizing her courage and determination. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry is shocked to see the animals return. Refusing to give up, he plants even more fake trees after blowing up the dam. Mabel convinces the leaders to hold a grand council meeting that includes representatives from every animal kingdom, such as the Frog King, the Fish Queen, the Tree Snake King, and the Insect Queen Butterfly with her son, Caterpillar. At first, the council dismisses Mabel's concerns. She passionately warns them that Mayor Jerry will not stop after destroying the glade and that every species will eventually become his target. Just as tensions rise, the Snake King appears with the support of the other animals. While Mabel tries to calm everyone down, chaos breaks out, and the Insect Queen is accidentally killed, forcing George and Mabel to flee. The villains unleash a massive super log to continue their attack. Although George is angry that Mabel entered his kingdom without permission, he eventually agrees to help rescue Charlie after Mabel opens up about her fears, insecurities, and her belief that one person can still make a difference. The two reunite with the Komodo lizard, Alan. During the conflict, Caterpillar emerges from his cocoon and transforms into a beautiful butterfly. He accepts his role as the new Insect King and immediately orders the council to begin an evacuation campaign. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry holds a public rally, claiming everything is under control. Mabel and George secretly sneak into his car and use the event's audio system to communicate with him. As the confrontation escalates, a dangerous predator named Danji is sent to attack Mayor Jerry's vehicle. Dr. Sam and her colleague also join the chase, doing everything they can to stop Mabel before the situation spirals completely out of control. Eventually, Mabel and George manage to stop Dadas's attack, but a car crashes off a bridge, leaving everyone in danger. Dr. Sam rescues the unconscious Mabel and discovers George nearby. Realizing the situation is far more serious than expected, she takes them all back to her laboratory. When Mabel regains consciousness, she and Jerry find themselves tied up. Dr. Sam and her colleagues have also been taken hostage and are being forced to create a robotic clone of Jerry. They soon discover that the clone is part of Dadas's larger plan to strengthen his alliance with the Frog King. Determined to stop him, Mabel tries to reason with Dadas, urging him to abandon his destructive ambitions. However, he refuses to back down. After gaining the ability to think like a human, Dadas declares that he will not only rule over humanity but also every other animal on Earth. As chaos unfolds, the remaining trees begin to fall. Deb races toward the last surviving tree, hoping to activate it, but the challenge proves too difficult. Before Dadas can complete his plan, The Frog King unexpectedly turns on him and devours him. During the battle, a massive wildfire spreads across the glade, with the communication transmitter destroyed. Mabel can no longer coordinate with George. Taking matters into his own hands, George bravely leads his beaver colony to flood the glade, successfully extinguishing the flames and saving the forest. In the aftermath, Jerry officially declares the glade a protected wildlife reserve. Together, he and Mabel work to restore the damaged habitat, fulfilling Mabel's dream of protecting the forest. After graduating from college, Mabel returns to Dr. Sam's laboratory. Following the exposure of the Lab Hopper program and the rescue of Dr. Sam and her colleagues, Mabel asks Dr. Sam for a job. Impressed by her dedication and courage, Dr. Sam hires her as her assistant, marking the beginning of Mabel's exciting new journey. After returning to the glade, Mabel finds Dodge sitting on the same rock where they once spent time together with her grandmother. She quietly joins him, and although they are unable to speak directly, they continue to share a meaningful friendship. Mabel also stays connected with George, communicating through text-to-speech on her phone. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry is determined to move forward with his plan to replace the forest with a new freeway. Believing that the animals have already left, he insists the land is ready for development. Mabel strongly opposes the project, protesting by standing where the dynamite has been placed. In response, Mayor Jerry gives her just 48 hours to gather enough signatures to stop the construction. After facing repeated setbacks, Mabel approaches an elderly man, kindly helps him, and passionately explains her campaign to protect the forest. However, she soon realizes he's hard of hearing and has mistakenly handed her his grocery list instead of signing her petition. At the global box office, Hoppers opened at number 1 with an impressive $88 million, delivering a strong debut for an original animated film. In comparison, another new release, The Bride, earned only $13.6 million worldwide, a disappointing result considering its $90 million production budget. Internationally, Hoppers collected $42 million from 42 overseas markets and added $46 million domestically. After years of struggling to launch successful non-franchise films, the movie is expected to become Pixar's first major original hit in nearly a decade. It also marks the biggest opening for an original animated feature since Pixar's 2017 musical fantasy Coco, which finished its theatrical run with more than $800 million worldwide. Backed by outstanding reviews and excellent audience scores, industry analysts expect Hoppers to enjoy a long and successful run in theaters. Its strongest international markets included the United Kingdom with $6.4 million, Mexico with $3.7 million, France with $3.6 million, and Germany with $3.6 million. The film had not yet opened in several major territories, including China, Japan, and Australia. Produced on a budget of approximately $150 million, Pixar's Hoppers follows Mabel, an animal lover whose mind is transferred into a lifelike robotic beaver. Using her new form, she communicates with wildlife and fights to save their natural habitat from being destroyed. Meanwhile, The Bride, starring Jessie Buckley as the bride and Christian Bale as the creature, debuted with $6.3 million from 69 international markets and $7.3 million in North America. These results fell well below Warner Brothers' projections of $22 million overseas and $18 million domestically. Even if those estimates had been reached, the opening would still have been underwhelming given the film's substantial budget and weak audience reception. The Bride is expected to lose millions during its theatrical run, bringing an end to a remarkable box office streak for Warner Brothers after the massive success of Sinners, Weapons, and the highly anticipated Final Destination, Bloodlines. Meanwhile, Paramount's Scream 7 and Sony's animated hit continue to dominate the global box office. Scream 7 earned another $15.6 million from 66 international markets during its second weekend, increasing its overseas total to $56 million and its worldwide box office to $149 million. Despite receiving mixed reviews from critics, the film is on track to surpass both the original Scream, 1996, which earned $173 million, and Scream 2, 1997, making it the highest-grossing installment in the long-running horror franchise. Close behind The Bridal on the international charts is Goat, which collected $4.2 million in its fourth weekend. The family-friendly animated film, centered on an ambitious young animal chasing dreams of athletic greatness, has now earned $62 million internationally and $146 million worldwide. Animated movies continue to dominate the box office, and Pixar's Hoppers is expected to keep that momentum going. The film has already earned an impressive $88 million worldwide across 41 international markets, making it Pixar's strongest original release since Coco in 2017. Not only is Hoppers enjoying Pixar's best original opening in years, but it has also become the studio's highest-rated original film since Coco, earning an outstanding 97% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like Coco, the film has received an enthusiastic response from both critics and audiences. In North America, Hoppers is projected to open between $36 million and $38 million from approximately 4,000 theaters, while international markets are expected to contribute another $45 million to $50 million, giving the film an excellent global debut. There is sneaks a stair-side on such a day, which will be wrote into Thursday a previous video and a start at 2 p.m. pieces which are not over $3 million and includes some of the previous caches around of the DreamWorks animation The Robot and Dog Moan, both of which opened and made $30 million. Hoppers will share image with Van Brosemagu directed $8 million Goa, which is looking at $16 million to $18 million domestic, with another $23 million from international for $38 million to $40 million global. A start. Media screenings began recently. Time to Be New York premiere on Tuesday. There's so no Rotten Tomatoes score yet here. The movie you'll remember was originally dated to come out in early October before being moved to be Sparta near the Oscar, with a big star Jessie Eisenberg for Best Actress. The focus picture. Unfortunately, Warner Bros. Number only opening box of history streak. This was conjured at an unprecedented end title with Wingheart is expected to be in here previously not America started 3 p.m. The Bridal, which also of course Belgie and Jackie. The opening a post cargo $50 million to trade $72 million to found a domestic bio of a Pixar original movie goes to 2020 an award which did $39.1 million. W seemed to be the blame for the lackluster start of the movie. It was an old B premised about a cruel family. CO forced the movie into the home window promptly after theaters shuttered. The Pixar's final domestic ad $61 million and a globality $141 million. However, Pixar original continued to have uphill battle. The 2023 Eliminator and Even Worse. Lasso solo abroad audiences expected for Hopper. Not just mom and the kids, the fight has been trailing in Zootopia 2. 2025's ultimate highest-grossing movie at $46 million domestic, a $1.85 billion worldwide. Since Thanksgiving, there's no familiar competition worldwide until Illuminations and Universal Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie at Easter, with a rolling spring break stay Sata throughout March and a school holiday toward the end of the month abroad. Hopper Bonner's Bones is on 2181% offshore footprint this weekend, starting with Belgium, France, Eurasia, Korea, Netherlands, Philippines and Switzerland today. Tomorrow, Thursday, the movie debuts in Australia, Brazil, Central America, Colombia, Zagreb, Denmark, and Germany, Mexico, and Thailand. Germany, France, UK, and Mexico are expected to be very good for Hopper, especially since family does well in Latin America. Now, Korea has been a good market history for Pixar movies. It's been extremely tough for Hollywood movie post-co. It's expected that local period movie The King's Warden will continue to be ruled a Part 7 weekend, France, and also be a number 2 for Hoppers with a local live-action family that heading into Ida weekend with a $40 million plus room. Reviews in the UK stateside are stronger for Daniel Chung directed and Corano in regard to be Hopper Global Supplies. There was a Hollywood premiere earlier last week at Captain, the filmmakers that were in Italy, and there was a premiere in the UK. Vice star Joan H. also been traveling with the film for a bite abroad with several advanced previous offshore. Disney Pixar's Hopper has achieved a powerful hold in the international market in its second weekend for play by landing just 17% in a hot dollar price and remaining as the top film or top-down local film rich everywhere, taking after 2 weekend of player $7 million across 46 international market and $86 million in North America, which combined to deliver $154 million worldwide. Hopper landed in Japan with an estimated $2.4 million top of the box office with a new opening in Hong Kong and Singapore, and arrived in the right now as a weekend stop, not a local title in the lighter market. Hopper's delivered a fourth highest opening for an animated film ever. Cumulatively, UK, Ireland leads the international pick on the film ahead of Mexico, Germany and France. The coming weekend sees opening for Curda in China, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Israel, Malaysia and Taiwan. Alia follows on March 26. Back in June 2023, our original tale Elemental began with a smaller footprint of international market and North America and expended 41 tries in total in the second season, reaching $121 million at that stage of release. Sustained audiences brought Bluey took the film to surprise $496 million by the end of it. After Universal Pictures has hit solid opening number with the latest film adopted from a clean overbook, reminded of him that tragedy romance drama has begun with a confirmed $18 million in North America plus $10 million across 56 international market and as $28 million worldwide. The international opening number are on par with Paramount fixture Regretting You last October and ahead of the horror adaptations in North America. Regretting You went on to achieve $48 million to a lifetime in North America for international and $90 million worldwide. Germany leads international market and a remainder of him with a confirmed $22.60, $6 million next in UK Ireland with a $1.4 million ahead of Australia. There are still a fair few key market yet to be opened. The film France and Brazil a welcome reminder of him this coming weekend with a span to be followed in April and a South Korea in May. The Venus Castville director film star Michael Oss, a woman who has served time for vehicular manslaughter that killed her friends, seeking a access of a daughter. She gave birth to the imprisonment and forming a bond with the bar owner trying who was the band, while a reminder of him looks on track to surpass the life total lying. The total for 2024 however adoptions and Enzo with a $351 million to will remain beyond his gaps. Paramount Pictures The Cream Salmon added an estimated $17.8 million worldwide in a 10-weekend taking the total of $4 to $16 million and setting a record for the franchisee not adjusted for inflation. Previously the original Supreme is 1996 and the Pack Body franchise were $1.72 million just ahead of the 1997 Supreme 2. UK Ireland leads international market for Supreme 7 with $9.60, $6 million to the date, but France is off, closing the gap and is now $8.5 million, while the Game 7 beats the earlier franchise entries thanks to be 3 decades after ticket price inflation. It's $176 million a total so far compared to the lifetime box office of $166 million for Supreme after confirmed weekend taking for $1.9 million. A focus future Universal Pictures take the film through the $100 million barrier with box office now totaling $100 million. UK Island. The news is less good for Oscar winner Jesse Other film on release were Rosia the Bridal has fallen out of the worldwide top 10 chart in only its second weekend of play, estimated weekend taking up $3.80, $8 million total so far to be $21 million globally. The drop for was 71% from the opening session, entering the worldwide weekend chart in 8th place with estimated taking off $8.0 million from a single episode directed and starring Senyu. The film likely revives a franchise that began in 1988 within Brazil at Tramabdua. The opening fiery Turno President, the sixth film in the series, is 284 mil above Operations Buddha, and the competition is not addressed for inflation is also the creator's star of The No Highness Father is only family, a comedy franchise which has for yielded 5 hit films. The President Saga character Motor becoming the President of Spin South Korea local Hawking Sworden, the man who lives with King. The latest Pix movie dish release to date has been revealed after the animated movie hit box office recall for a studio and earned high praise from ladies. The story of Hoppers Follow Me, a Japanese-American college student who transferred her mind into a Vodka viewer in hopes of saving their habitat from a free construction projects from Hopper have been overwhelming, a depositor scoring a 94% all Latina tomatoes with our critics while also earning $368 million worldwide against a $5 to $10 million budget, making it a success at a box office. Now Disney has revealed Hopper will be released for a purchase on digital platform sales starting from Tuesday, April 286. This include availability in Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video and Frandico at home. This will be followed by DVD, Blu-ray and a 4K UK release version will also have a collector's edition steelbook version. In addition to the movie itself, the film comes with a plate bonus feature. First is a creature that is recalling a director Daniel and other Pixel team members at Yellowstone National Park observing nature and pulling inspiration for a movie in the process, hoping in the making of Upper document the filmmaking a process with girls and crew members discussing the creatively behind the movie's production. George C. and team the making of King's Watch a super long in the movie a revealed breaks down Hopper is the actor referencing other Pixels movie alongside the other fact about a film's behind the scene work. Damn good blooper focuses on funny moment of the voice actor flubbing their line. Finally the movie comes with a sex-related scene introduced by Chong and editor Axel Gadget that Del scenario daughter code open the glad the mission at King's arrive George bachelor's bed and a helicopter ride, all scene originally meant to be in the film that where he ultimately cut as of writing. Hopper is currently the 4th highest grossing a movie of 2026 and as soon for the original Pixel movie it also become the highest opening for Pixel film following the COVID-19 pandemic, earning $88 million in opening weekend between the United States and Canada, with the film coming home in just a few days. Hopper appear poised to keep up in positive momentum once it arrives at home. The bonus edition will help viewer dive into the environmental story making a process while also emphasizing what makes a movie so impactful. The film's home media release may also see it continue to impress in a term of sale, making it an even bigger success than it already is. Leaves to be staining second weekend box office drop. Direct actor by Daniela Chong. The latest picture movie follows the release of Elio last year at 2024 Inside Out. The Supreme release got up at a respectable start at a box office last weekend, grossing $45 million domestically and about $88 million globally. But that line's Hopper grossed $28 million domestically on its second weekend, contributing to a global total of $164 million. This film adopted by a 357% between its first and second weekend domestically, making it Pixar's second best title in the series, back behind only Inside Out, which experienced a 34% drop. Hover's worldwide total also puts it in the top day of 2026 movie globally. Isa currently stands as the highest grossing animated movie of the year worldwide. The film is also a hit in IMAX. Chong's movie features a unique premise. Ida follows a teenage animal lover named Mabel who places her consciousness into the body of a robotic beaver. Through this reward, Melba is already to be explored. A mystery of the animal kingdom. The success of Hopper's father saw a disappointing 2025 for Pixar despite a generally positive review. Alia was a significant flop for studio, glossing only $154 million worldwide, a distressing result. Inside Out, on the other hand, became the highest-grossing Pixar movie of all time in 2024 with a box office a total of $1.698 billion. Hoppers is not on track to perform like the Inside Out sequel, but the response to the movie so far has been overwhelmingly positive. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 93% critic score, with the audience-driven popcorn mature coming in even higher at 94%. Insect Rand's own Hopper review. Critics Gregorinos awarded film a score of 7 out of 10, praising the film's native story and humor as well as its simply moving claim. They write the film is a primer for young people to be empowered to be fired a system that are isolating the rate of global warming and environmental decay through some time. It fills up with a politically incorrigible, but the spirit is there, and in most sense Hopper is Megan and Maze and a true joy, featuring a voice performances by Bob Jon Hamm, Francisco, Sam Katie and Mike. It remains to be seen how high horror will climb domestically and worldwide, but it is certainly a welcome success for Pixar after Elio. Next up for Animation Studios is summer's Toy Story 5, which arrives on June 19 and is poised to be the major win. 2026 is shaping up to be a strong year for Pixar. Opera is a street film that contains a respectively tricky moral about. The film follows a young woman named Mel who is constantly working to preserve a local forest grade. Desperate local authorities so seem to try it and forces her to hijack a new phony Hopper technology to find out how to stop it. Is ultimately a sweet story about community with Miss relying on her ability to find empathy with other, reproving crucial power. Has a family-friendly message about a power-up, but also tries to be tempered with a constant connection that's not to there. It has to be soft or weak but open and determined. How to discover elements of hope is surprisingly tricky depictions of activism as a practice for social change, with an ultimately positive portal that is complicated by the challenges and hangs at a process. Nepal is defined early on as a defensive process. Even as a child, she is constantly fighting authority and trying to save the world. As with any film about a sort of subject matter, Marbley faces challenges including a disinterested public and an apathetic for not outright confirmational system of authority. However, the film never makes no a perfect person, giving a number of flaws. She has to be overcome herself. Neville's frustrations with a broken system have left her angry, with a tendency to be lashed out in anger. This happens when she's tired and beats people, as well as when she's a grown woman and accidentally kills the incest queen. Her temper always makes things worse for her in her class, and for 3 people around on her own. Even worse, motivate them to give him to be anger instead of just. This leaves a door open for some India-like titles to set up in a day drug that adjusts stable anger, such as when Nervili Rise of the Other Animal Kingdom. Buddha feels to be tempered with empathy, letting them to be tried and killed. Nervili always finds calm when she's confronted with a struggle of actually achieving a change and her frustration over failing to do so more easily. The film also takes note that Mabel finds her best to love creating change by actually opening it to appealing to other and screaming to work with them. Neville is forced to be content with a simultaneously a complementary and confirmational relationship between different animals, awaking their own system of morality against her own. She tries to be reach out to response that Jerry and her connection to King George all speak to her heart. It's also notable when Isa actually able to be formulate a plan, unite your friend kingdom and ultimately save the blood. In a world of activism can be tough, thankless and frustrating, embarrassing, empathetic, weeded and carrying on despite the challenges. Overcoming those challenges said by the world. This is partly what makes Hoppers so theatrically effective. Pixar had made a habit of including Easter tags and references to theater movies in each new release, and that is no different with Hopper. The sci-fi film follows Mabel as he transfers her mind into the body of a beaver-board to try to save a special glare by bringing a dead animal back to the habitat. And while it might be hard to catch them all upon us viewing, the Easter eggs are did to spot on repeat watches. Here is all of the Hopper's Easter eggs spotted so far. Hopper is not time giving viewer references to another Pixar movie, but at the beginning, a young Melissa is shown trying to free her class turtle along with a host of the animal. Also during the sequences we learn that a turtle is named Grush. The Pizza Planet truck has become a staple of Pixar movie ever since it was included in Toy Story. It's common for the vehicle to be in the background of a short creativity modifier to fit into the imaginative world, or Hopper's. The Pizza Planet truck can be seen in an alternate form when Mabel is trying to be escaped from the school with the animals. A similar motor version of a truck is seen in a display case. While Mabel spends most of the Hopper and the robot body hero before their transformation brings Tom more references. Her phone case includes a connection to Be Up and Story. There is a Wilderness Explorers badge on it referencing Russell's participation in the group and Nub. There is also one out of Green Aliens of a retro story franchise, and of Hopper's Easter eggs has nothing to do with the Disney or Pixels but has everything to do with directors Daniel Kong. Before he made his movie, he was behind the 3 seasons animated series on Cartoon Network called We Bare Bear. Jon Hamm confirmed that there are 3 bears modeled after the lead characters from a We Bare Bear featured in a member's bedroom. They are briefly seen on the W in a quick scene and were included as a surprise for the director. That's not where their connection to Be appears to stop. Either the show 3-man cast members all have voice role, and Hara Panda's Bobby voices King George and Isia Bears Martin voices of Rock of Grief Isa Alice, and provided additional voices but for which character is yet to be confirmed. While Pixels love Easter eggs to its post, there is also a history of the highlighting the animation studio origin. It's become tradition for viewer to see a 13 in that studio's release as which is references to DLA California Institute of the Art, where many of the most prominent member of the studio studied, including Johanna Putta Doctor and Brad Britt is used in Hopper as the Roman number of Dr. Sam's lab. Considering the lab is found at Beaver Jones University, the reference is quite fitting. I3 has come off circle to being a college room. The least subject reference in Thea Hopper comes for James Cameron's sci-fi franchise gets a name drop into movie from as he come to be understand how drive Sam's Hopper technology works. She directly compare Avatar film, a similarity that Dr. Sam rejects, saying is nothing like Avatar despite Dr. Sam's rebuttal. The similarities between the Hopper and an Avatar are quite clear. Visual plots where a human protagonist is brain transferred into a different body in the hopes of connecting with a different life form. It's a navy for Avatar boodle animal for Hopper. They are thin in a Hopper but one that look directly like a Bombi. However, we do see us young and are happy to get her. This seems to reflower and chamber in the 1942 Disney's animated classic. The very end of Hopper's is loaded with Easter eggs in the form of a dog barred in Dr. Sam's lab showing her ideas for inventions after the Hopper program is start. The easiest one to spot is a reference to the talking dog collar from a featured right in the middle on the chalkboard with a gent circle around it. Idea 113. Possibly another clever references show Sam's idea for a collar that translates a dog's bug into speech. It's identical to the one dog in the dog's enough if the Pixel shared universe story is true. They suggest Sam was partially responsible for inventing the technology, explained that Charlie created the collar enough, but perhaps he was mistaken or did not know the full story, and the producer's Paradise Screen previously confirmed this immersive connection is as legitimate as Ida seems singing Daniel's song. I mean, the movie certainly suggested a Nicole Paradise gel that did a basic research necessary. We can say that the earliest idea on Dr. Sam's chalkboard is idea which is for some sort of a cleaning robot. The design of the screening robot is a direct match for Ida to board, and well, talking the checking of the Pixel universe theory into account here. This would not imply that Dr. Sam is someone who created Wall-E. It's possible she creates Element and Sela Dubai in large form as production. There's also a second robot shown an idea too with the polishing her and Willy. The purpose is different. One figure looks somewhat like after tackling a robotic animal with a Hopper's program ice. No surprise that another of Dr. Sam's idea is for the same line of thinking, a featured on a virtual front board Freeline campaign companion. A light looks identical, so S socks for a lighter socks are a body card and used by Star Command in the film, making it a companion to be Buzz Lightyear depending on how you want to be interact via chalkboard's importance. This could mean that Dr. Sam invented as a real version of socks only for the concept and incorporated into the movie that inspired a Lightyear toys. There's also a second more comedic reference to be up on Dr. Sam's chalkboard. Below the concept for the talking dog owner, we see idea 206 showing a dog in a planner with a description. What if you turn a dog's is to fly? This is a clear references to be ending of a Where I's a Dog Army pilot airplane. Yeah, Dr. Sama seemed to have concluded that Thea's idea is preposterous after the initial question. The board read 2-4. Ida seems I would not appreciate a climax and AI abilities of in a potentially massive. Auber's chalkboard also includes a car Easter egg. The top right corner of the chalkboard shows a diagram of a human brain with an arrow pointing from it to a car. It seems idea 52 is putting a human consciousness inside a car. A geographic share universal theory into account. Them Dr. Sam could media one of responsible from the word depicted in car. She may have come up with a way to actually put human brain in car, completely reshaping the state of the human race. This would solve the many questions about how car gained scientists in the theory. Lastly, Drive Sam's dark include idea 43 on the bottom right corner. Her general ideas stem from the question or if you can turn a vocal sound into the energy. In other words, the key technology at the heart of the monsters and what makes these offers Easter egg to ongoing is that it could imply that Dr. Sam created the technology that the monsters use for that she has now had the same idea that they have used for her. If the latter is true, Dr. Sam just need to be with the dumb monster realizes her idea is possible. Los Angeles Pixels have had injured a Dropus lot at a box office, bouncing back at $28 million in second weekend. According to studio estimates, Stant Wild Cullentra added to other successful streak the box office after sported $45 million debut to the wildest go. Hopper released a modest 37% in his follow-up weekend, promising a sign for an animated movie hoping to have a strong like the Pixar original about a young woman who transforms into the body of a fever to help defend Hero Bone from development. Is hoping to keep attracting audiences with good reviews, a 94% fresh on Rotten Tomato and a strong audiences score. And our senior Willy, many of Pixar's sequel have been blockbusters on arrival like 24's Insidia outshow $1.7 million worldwide. Their original HS recently needed them to get a joining in 2023. Elemental launched with a disappointing $29.60, $6 million, but went on to be cost a hefty $496 million globally. Horror, which has taken enough $1.64 million globally thus far, has a long way to go to rematch that, but is off to be good a start. It feels like there is new competition this weekend. The upcoming Amazon MCM sci-fi adventure project Rella will soon take up screen and compete for a family movie. Universal Remains of Hema debuted in second place this weekend with a but better than expected $1,800 million remaining. As a woman attempting to rebuild her life after represents in a third Kenan, however adaptations to be reached a week again reminders of him, which cost about $25 million to make a hot pure 56% fresh tomatoes. No great be the film written and directly by then has been adopted as a 24th best horror film since any as one of the movie that have put indie studio on the map with a budget of just $5 lakh. Undertone make a particular use of sound design and only a setting tale about a paranormal broadcaster caring for her dying mother. After this disappointing debut, Warner Brothers, The bridal plunged in second a weekend, dropping 70%, which is just $2.18 million. The Magi-directed Rifa has grossed us $1.30 million domestically. Top 10 movies by domestic box office. The final domestic figures are being released Monday. This list factors in the estimated ticket sale for Friday through Sunday hours in Canadian Treasury according to ComScore $28.50 million, reminders of him $18.3 million, Undertania $9.3 million, SAG $7.40 $4 million, Golda $4.7 million, Labrid $2.1 million, Hickey's Delivery Services $1.70 million, Height $1.7 million, TMNT to $1.50 million, 101.1 million. Hoppers 2026 is a true return to be prom of Pixel, albeit in a more of a post example of Pixel just having fun. The marketing leads you into the thinking Hopper is going to be an Avatar Square film about environmentalism, and yes, it is. That boot is slowly turned into a roller coaster ride of the unpredictability and charisma, somewhat taken to be a flying circus, and then unlike Excel Saga, if that sort of the millennial cowardly boomer humor is your style, then Hopper will be for you. And if you are like me and literally grew up alongside in the industrialist story, then Hopper's allies of video, a sense of humor developed in the mid-2000s to early 2010. Hopper is a story of a 19-year-old university student called Mel who want to be save a creek that holds sentimental value to be heavy and Evlamir want to be destroyed a creek and will free not. It's a many 90s animated film with We Have Got What It Makes to Be Great is how it lures you into a false sense of security, but it's a opening third which feels very bad and a number and full of 90 animation course and a convention, yet as Hopper's goes director Daniel Chung starts subverting your expectation by presenting his individual journal trope and wrapping Ida into an unexpected scenario. As much as I want to highlight how brilliant the subversion of props are, many of the jokes and scene, especially the last, will hit much better if you go in blind. Only a thing I must pixel for is after the train wreck that was Disney's computer animated film Ali OG and Adrian and films, the development and is sure of the director's identity and experience as for the film, or is allowed a character to be really just express himself. Peaks the Dreams is Daniel's second director work, after his work as a creator, directions and general a visionary of the mid-2010 Cartoon and Network classic We Bear Me. The program followed us stories of three lives together in San Francisco, and they all get to direct things together till we be allowed Daniel to express his love for 90s and 2000s era, and I through how and his love for 2009 come accessibly through the Hopper from the obligatory Iraq slide to be wave messa upward, then she's unangry such as me for my neighbor and from Spirit Way 2001 or injured on the other female character from any movie. Every scene is filled with a subtly animation-based note to the seller. Ivana Hopper's truly feels like golden era Pixar, where the films were created, driven and not corporate nerd from the mouse. However, this level of humor and inspiration is reality aligning a much younger crowd, whereas the humor and the tone is absolutely tailored from someone who grew up with a new ground of flash animation. And Eugen Cartoa and Michael Keck is a show that is a trailer made to show you the level of intensity body horror and your humba might put off a much younger audience. Overall, if you connected with mid-2000 era cringe of a turning red or find the humor of smiling friends align with your sensibility, then Hopper is a film you have been waiting for. There are two post sequences, say for at least the first one, since that is one of my favorite joke in the whole film. Unlike the kids movie 13 is for most Pixels a picture, I am supposed to be no better. I know that Pixels long ago longest animations mistake, a combination of hype and media management that had unwary viewers manipulated into singing the praises forever. The earlier films that Pixar was running out of jokes and ideas, they still turn out to be intellectually ambitious film and out. The first one anyway. The film that it introduced the whole culture to be a little explored subculture. This Juke says about Disney's future animation film noted label pixels told to remark on theme and nothing to be limited appear in very limited shelf life of previews of animation. I would pretty much decided to leave this part of a dimension tone as in the diminishing return on reviews of Azotopia and go together. But I fell for the best pixel movie in your blur and funniest pixels movie ever. Disney made that Tony a help hype in the dark into a her sinning last night. I know Rocky mistake and never buy the hype. I think I chuckled at one maybe twist in the first 20-45 minutes. Things did not really improve much from J. As in preview night. Iris is often their short attention span off at well. I was reminded of where that great journey told me that he decided to give himself a Disney career by taking the job of singing in the original traditionally animated classic Beauty and the Beast. My wife and I took the grand cares to show it Orbex at before the credits. All the kids in the crowd were doing what doofing, running up and down on the aliases, yelling and laughing, and then he said the movie started in silence, rapt attention. They could not take their eyes off it. That's not going to be the case of Hopper is a story for a little girl male who grows up fancifully devoted to a bee animal. The picture opens with trying to be pulled of an almost amusing algebra in her elementary school. She just from her grandma who taught her to be very still, watch and listen to what nature has to be show and tell her that we are all part of something bigger than our own simple life. Years later in college, a grandma gone and her favorite glad in woods outside of return in the politically ambitious mayor plans for a bypass that will save people for 4 minutes on their commute around town. Collegia student male is hell-bent on saving their blade and bond. Even dear insists all the way life is gone. It has as verbose professor explained the beavers had on sea built a dam on the creek where the anchor spaces that help that ecosystem together may resolve to be bring the beavers back. Hopper is a pixel at best at its best, a story with warm shimmer, exciting action and characters in a reassuringly expensive nation of a community. It has charm and a touch of magic but is grounded literally. The concrete nature of the stories between Amabla and Co is a college student who loves the stress of her head who want to be build a bone that wire through the property. There is an equally compelling conflict with Ina Mobile. This is where Pixel's signature a compassion for our most human director Jan Chung, who has created a story, and sign writer Jesse Andro understand that anger tries to be full in the thinking is come from a place of fast ran and will help guide us what we wanted, but more often it comes from fear. Mabel is so furious about animals being confined to thanks their cases, and even more furious about not being able to return them to their native inhabited. She's dropped off with her grandmother Karen, who brings her to be led and tells her to be very still and to watch and listen. Male began to be calmed down. I used to get angry. The grandmother's kisses quietly as a look out at the trees and water. She adds, it's hard to be mad when you feel like you are part of something big. The glad and the grandmothers will help me develop a sense of home and inspire her as she grown up. At age 19. Mel is a college student. We know she's rebel and a badass because she tried rides to be catchable and has a car on her breast. She's still mourning the loss of her grandmother and she's angry again. There's a time at Cherry and a plan to destruction. Other glad he says the cannot proceed because it no longer an animal habited and the animals are gone. Babbly professors is Mofarax, voiced by Kat Haya. The characters' names are a tribute to B scholar Dr. Emily Fairfax, who consulted on the film. Dr. Sam has been conducting the experiment with transferring her consciousness to a 3D printed robot viewer, the better to study animal behavior, especially the dam building of your keystone species like our jar. Melb says not like our jar. Dr. Sam insisted it's kind of so just code. Melville grabs some equipment and take us our debt till we figure out how to repopulate a glut and stop construction. When a movie scientist in our lab says that this technology must not fall into the wrong hand, you know it's about to do just that and will likely to be a lot of fun to see. As a beaver, Mabla discovered that she can understand the language of all our animal. She is befriended by George, the kings of the mammals over the Chining groan. She is frustrated by his fearful thirsting outlook and his literally sanguine approach to beauty. Lion King Moria delicately referred to as a circle of life. The porn rule includes the understanding that predator will eat to prey that is handled with a good humor, but parents should know that some character and a warm do not make it to the end of the movie. Initially Ina Prindle becomes attached by George Doessa and her, and where the other fun truly don't be a stranger, greet everyone by a name and we are all in this together. George conveys a meeting of all the kings and queen of our animal kingdom, and given dark complication of different interfaces buys in the political realities things get out of hand. A conflict with Ajari, her agency over protecting the land, and with the frantic effort of Dr. Sam and her crew to get a robot back drive. Examine how Crutoa get a robot back, and it turns a consciousness to her own head along with Mabel's internal struggle area brought together with great skill, and the action sequences are exceptionally well inventive and exciting. The voice talent included marvelous insect and defensible as our convincing son. He goes from Sar to be butterfly do no Asalam, but there the picture artist shows the beauty of the natural world through the eyes of mother and her grandmother. A place of peace and healing if we understand how profoundly it connects USA to be all living things. The visual have fabulously our sense of plant and water texture, and the dam built by the viewer is that engineered as real life. Feel like all is very big heart. The film is about empathy forager of false past underscored by a welcome diversity of the character. The film is Sansa Vanda's angling of the map's grave, which would happen to be her grandmother's jacket, her failing back into the anger when she is scared, and how that impair her ability to find a solution. We get Toa reaching her over original ideas about Ajari and his commitment to his community too. In a world that is often troubling as random, it is good to be seen upon roll by the last two anyway. Explore with a deep understanding of grandmother wisdom, letting us all see that more is accomplished when we mean all of us are part of something big. Every animal gets their own animated movie eventually. We have had family-friendly photo about baby deer elephants, Adam and Dylan King, even ants and peas. Wonder why the humble viewer has never had a turn until now. Are wrong. Finally arrived with a pixel hopper with Thayer Bowman to barely fit any flappy trail. We are in charity creature hoppers begone with human. Our hero here is Noble Janica, voiced by Liana in opening Antipod as a teenager, an Asian American girl mind here and a fiery in her belly. We first meet her at elementary school, desperately trying to be elaborate animal imprisoned in her classroom spot. The title crush, here a rebellious spirit constantly gets her to be in trouble, but she finds the kind of peace and synergy with her grandma who judge her to be co-witness the beauty of nature at a GL near her house. The opening few minutes of Hopper's news towards the prologue of Pixels up in establishing the emotional stack. Villy is despaired at all cost to do right by her grandma, and by the time she is an engineer college student, she has taken on a funky reorg persona, forever battling with Slicka, having fun, who want to build a giant concrete fay in this friction mess, and accidentally stumbles upon a higher concept by technology. The university sheet has created hyper-elastic anomaly report that can be piloted by a man. It's basically be a similarity that the film Whately addresses is once adopted a fever body and enters the animal realm. The actors Daniel Jongri's clothes and nature is beautiful and sane. Yes, Yada Harper also understand that nature is alien directly enter human minda completely bonker. So there are porno roles, animals wearing adorable journey gone viper. Other things were at least two major characters that the area played almost entirely for love and other madcap world building, but Harper's managed to be thread a delicate needle, are being delightfully a silly, sweet, emotional, and also about a something in a way Pixels has not always managed. FL is a studio funny swimming here. It holds into the emotional characteristic even when Marvel Shapey shows up to wise a butterfly. It's not exactly any observation to say that a Pixel's once golden repetition is not what is used to be. The 3D animation studio has never disappeared from the cultural conversation. But after revolutioning the industry in the 1990s and delivering a string of unqualified masterpieces in 2000, Pixar has only occasionally reached a level of greatness that was once synonymous major or a name. Part of that is because of their own sequel, but even their newer original don't always the pedigree of all-time great, like Finding Nemo incredibly or value their latest film. The sci-fi funny animal comedy is not on the level of inspiration, but it still comes out to the other side as an entertaining and offered. Hoppers is not Hoppers Noah streaming on YouTube, a platform like Amazon Prime Video is not a movie about a banner in which battle more than the hope on Marcus 6, a marble tanker and 198 lover who want to save a local forest called the Glotted. Thus of him uses a secret technology that lets her hope her mind into a robotic beverage to return to the glade, proving the land as a vital habitat that should not be paved over. In the famous climax and insect named Judgers. The climax of Hoppers to save the area, the viewers to break their lazing water that flat crisis jelly decided to be moved a highway and turned a glad into a protective park while me stays connected to a Georgian Inouye. The climax of opera between the human and animals reaches a billing point after the dead insect queen earlier in the film. Her son Jusa becomes the new insect king and decided to take revenge on human. He forces the scientists to create a robotic clone of Mayor Jerry so that he can hop into the artificial human body and carry out his plan. 30 and 22 attend a political rally on the glade while this guest as a activated special sound device hidden in a fake trees that could kill the human gather to really to be convinced to be stopped, where he refuses and even revealed that he want to be inside to rule not only human but also the rest of the animal kingdom. This shocks the other animal, later realizes that his plan is to be dangerous for everyone. During the struggle, the robotic body and the sound devices and the vessels are destroyed. But the destruction accidentally sparks a massive wildlife that quickly suppresses across the glade and threaten the nearby John at the same time that meets his eye when he's attacked and out of him from destroying everything. Mabel and her better friends realizes they have to make a keyboard sacrifice. They decide to break their own carefully built jump. Doing so create a massive plot that rushes through the area, successfully drawing out a wildfire and saving the dump step. After the crisis, Major finally understands the importance of the glad and agrees to change his plan during the final scene of the Hopper. The highway project is more to be another location than the forest area ISA declared a protected build preserve resources. Mabel also learned an important lesson about corporations and the responsibility. She finishes here studied and began working with Dr. Sama as an assistant, continuing her effort to be health animal using science and research. In the ending of Hoppers, Mabel goes back to be glad and reunite with George at the same rock where she felt connected to nature as a child. The devices that once allowed her to understand animal speech was damaged during the final battle, so they can no longer communication in the same way. Therefore, George uses the phone text with a speech feature along with emojis to talk to her, showing that their friendship still remains strong. However, the Hopper features a poster scene which hints that the devices may still be working. The scene revealed a robotic view that Mabel once used, which everyone believed that had been lost in the flood. Stones are lying in the river caught in some. Suddenly the report signs light up again with a faint blue glow. This brief moment hints that a technology may still be working, raising the possibility that someone else could discover it and use it in the future. Pixar's latest movie Hoppers arrived in the cinema on W6 to deliver a familiar Pixar adventure with a plenty of quirky animal character and a strong environmental focus. It follows the nature animal lover Mabel transferring her consciousness to a robotic beaver and immersing herself in the glad fueled with rage, specifically the mayor who is destroying the environment and the home of the animal. But here is a loud and chic activism that creates more bad and god consequences. And unfortunately for Return the rest of the animal the mayor is not her only problem. The Queen's untied as it turned out is planning world domination shows only escalate. Various motives come out the wood that Isa destroyed, but not totally. It can be rebuilt when the final tree collapses. Ida should have saved the people from Tattoo a civil plan but of all of welfare that start to be spread across the Glad and will soon destroy the integrity of Thea Glad as well as city. It's when King George and Beaver makes the hard decision to sacrifice the remains of a home in hope of saving everyone, both animal and human. They destroyed a remaining dam to be extinguished via fire. It floors the Glad and stains it forever, but is not a go where Jerry letters the freeway from the Glad and it declared a vooded Glad protective via welfare preserve that get a ultimate punishment for his crime. And gratefully Jerry appeared to be the antagonists early in Hopper with how he Isa destroying the beaver jam to build a factory tries to be domination, starting with forcing Dr. Sam and her colleagues to make a robotic clone of the mayor he can help into his plan. Isa to play the mayor and use the noise of the fake trees to be massacre humans and lord over the animal kingdom. But Judah chose out the reality. He gets eaten by the finger, and Hopper is characterized as a separated young woman. All her goals and vision are for the betterment of Dr. Glad. She goes into things fueled by age. She does not stray away from a confirmation and at time even seek it out ahead in intensivities pushes the animal to seek violence and in head of fought consequences. The insect queen demise Buddha at the end of movie born bad titles and to the concert she realized that she had been blinded by her anger being powerless against a real villain started her emotional weakening. She realizes that while Jerry's action have created a grave consequences for Thea and Abel. He generally believes that has doing what will have the tone. It help if friends is a character of mirror from the real villain in the story. Thea letter is only fueled by ambition and a selfish desire of power. Popper is a widely pixel movie that takes a little while to come together. But when Ida finds its footing, it settles nicely into the middle child from a studio that sets the bar extremely high. A 19-year-old animal lover. Yes, technology that places her consciousness into a robotic viewer to uncover mysterious vintage animal world beyond her imagination. There's probably a lot more pressure and Hopper than the film deserve, and it all come down to be circumstances. When this film was given, no one thought a pixel would be in the position in its because animation is a labor of love that takes so long to finish. The reality of the situation is that Pixar seemed to move away from original Toa storytelling and between elemental shoot at the box office and a low specular flame out. If this movie does not do well, Ida seems like we are not going to get many original Pixar film in the next couple of years aside from the one already in a development. Ken Hopper told you the weight of knowledge that it all too well original films are in general will drastically disregarding maybe whatever kind of movie reaching Hopper is. It really is not that the tone is all over the place as Ida well hopes for plot going to be blowed well into the second act. It's a bad Buddha in a way that feels like it are supposed to be the intentional. Then the tail end of the second act, the heading into the third decade, a ridiculous interqualizer shows up and that has just kind of settled perfectly into place. This Isa movie that lives dire by the second half of the film because that is where everything pops up. The movie is already back, but if somehow gets even more insana and manage to make them instantly work with an extremely satisfying ending. But at the same time, there's also this feeling in Hopper as if it is being held back. This movie is not subtle. It's also not conventional. It feels like it's trying to break through all sort of the corporate construct, and it mostly managed to be which is medical and itself. However, you can tell that something is holding Hopper back from being the radical environmentalist film it founds to be. It feels that very because in December 2024 a report by The Hollywood Reporter that mostly focused on a trans storyline and win or loss of being good. Hopper were also mentioned according to a former Pixel. Hopper 2026 has officially wrapped the run, and let's just say we have got a feeling directed by Daniel Zhang and written by Jesse Andrew. This sci-fi adventure comedy a Vortage University activist source mind gets transferred into to a robotic viewer sound completely bonkers on paper, and yet somehow it works seamlessly as its score. Harper is about awe across spaces, across political divided, and across grief assortic and unexpectedly intense. Jenna and I am surprisingly emotional after a few rocky years of the story. This feels like Pixels discovering its nerve. We meet Mabel first as a child, stubborn, fiercely protective of animal and already prone to be righteous. Eerie grandmother teaches her something for her: sit still, listen and remember you are part of something bigger. The Glotta in favor. Jon becomes her emotional anchor. Fast forward of 19 years old, Melbourne cause unrest activist energy delighted till October 11th that don't smear Jerry want to be built at a forest cloud to build a new freeway as justification. The animals have left, they have not. They have just been away by noising a fake dress. Meanwhile, biology professor Rizikis Montana Sam Fairs has developed a hope program or technology allowing human consciousness to transfer into robotic animals for research purpose. Things cutting as eco-science with a dash of Curda club energy. Babbly in the attack hops into a robotic beaver and hands acquired literally in the Glotta. King George a surprisingly gentle beaver moan without any groom. Love loyal beaver make alien a blunt but warm beer. A full-blown animal council with merchant presenting and with insect fish and bird job leaves deeply indigeneity and points a role. Gr everyone's by name, don't be a stranger and remember we are in all these together. Initially clashes with his calm optimism. She wants confirmation. Georgia wants corporation things well. When Jerry blows up the abuse them and instill more no history is a heated animal council meeting. Accidentally pushes the animal tower to violence and words she unintentionally causes the insect queen's demises. Her anger once again career shows instead of clarity. The insect's queen son does seizes control. He's better, clever and far more radical than his mother ever was. The console now wants a daddy eliminated in an absurd bout of brilliant sequences. The animals attempted to take him out, including dropping a shark out into his car is frantic. Ida will build an Aeneas in mayhem. Dr. Salma finally disconnect me from the robot of you, leaving George devastated for him. She wants a human visitor. She was simply Mel but choose Excella forces a scientist to create a robotic. Jerry wants his plan hop into it and hear it plus sound system to be triggered. The noise sequences and while out human attendance not just prevents domination. This is where the film shift from mecha adventure to full-blown moral opening. A bond and powerless Snowball finally understands something crucial. Her anger blinded her. Jerry is not a cartoon villain. He is flawed, convulsing his own. She reconciled with him, a hugely emotional pirate. Jerry hopes into the robotic pivot. It's a messy, ironic and very pixel directly show it politically really reveal his dream. Not just protecting an animal but ruling them all. His obsession shocks even the animal console. The final concoction happens at the last noise-emitting tree. Jerry's robot face gets it to turn off it, preventing him from activating the destructive fence. The tree collapses but the fell ignite a wildfire that races through the glade and toward the city. This is the moment the film lands its punch. King George makes a defining decision out of him to stop the fire. He orders the fever to destroy the remaining dam. The flood extinguishes the flame by sitting their home. It's a loss is his leadership, his community over pride also makes him in an chaotic fashion. The immediate threat is over. The glad ice changed forever but not gone. It's a bittersweet, leaning hopeful and the Glotta survival but altered. The dam is gone. George matures into a leader. May return to be her human body with a new understanding. Change require collaboration. Not rich. Piper Goda Asamel Janica. Very flawed and gentle ruler who's brave and genetic, both animal and a human. As Jerry, not a villain but a politician, a learning lesson. Katie as Dr. Salma Fairfax, science plain behind a technical as status, ambitious successor driven by a resentment. Every character operates from a justified point of view. That's what makes a conflict-free layered rather than its simplicity. Let's be honest. Pixel's past decade has been uneven. But Hopper is alive, old, slightly unhinged in the best way. It's generally funny. It's occasionally a dog is surprisingly intense for a family film, and visually the contrast between the art form and a realistic animal. It's a clever storytelling devices. Isa on the level of out the studio's all-time Mia classic not It's a Jam Go Jam absolutely the film's real subterranean is emotional thesis anger as a trend but empathetic bridges officially not nothing confirmed unofficially less swinging reporter suggest the creative idea for what a story could go but it was never designed strictly as a franchise starter Theta said animated originals released via standalone if box office numbers area strong. If a sequel happened expecting the glad political consequences Ina Bevered and further evolution of Thea harping technology possible tensions within the Animal Council Georgia navigating the leadership in a changing ecosystem. It feels like the kind of fast story that could naturally continue but also one that already has a meaningful conclusion. On paper a board we wary political style should not work and yet Harper somehow pulls it off through a hard humor and a surprisingly immature emotional core. It's a jokey, it's a bold. It's occasionally messy but it's alive. After a trouble Sarah feels like a pixel remembering how to balance spectre with insincerity. And if this is a start of a new creative wheel we are watching closely, would you hop into a board beer to be safe at your hometown or would you sit still listen at first? There is probably a lot more pressure on Harper than the film desires and it all comes down to being circumstances when the film was greenlit. No one thought Pixar would be in the position because animation is a labor of love that takes so long to finish. The reality of a situation that Pixar seems keen to move away from original storytelling and between elementals born at a box office and also separation of a Pixar film in the next couple. Wait every kind of movie you ching Harper? Ida really is not that. The tone is all over the place as it well. Hopes were blown to point out well into the second act. It's a bait show take but in our way Theta feels like it's supposed to be the intentional then the second act and led it heading into the third eye. A ridiculous enter is shown up and the rest are just a kind of settled perfectly into place. This is me movie that leaves and dies by the second half of film because that Isa where everything pops off. The movie Isa already back but it somehow gets even more instant and managed to be made Theta instantly work with an extremely satisfying ending in December 2024 a report by The Hollywood's Reporter Theta mostly focused on the transgender storyline and win or loss being bold. Lara was also mentioned according to a former picture artist who worked on the film. The filmmakers were reportedly instructed to tone down the movie's environmental message. However, when an entire film is built around the importance of protecting nature, it's nearly impossible to scale that theme back without affecting the story itself. The creative team at Pixar reportedly struggled with how to handle those changes. By the time the film was nearing release, the direction had already been set. Hoppers is a movie whose environmental message is woven into its very foundation, making it an essential part of the narrative rather than something that can simply be removed. Could a production team have done anything if those decisions came from higher-level executives? Realistically, blaming the artists and filmmakers for those choices wouldn't be fair. This is often what happens when major storytelling decisions are driven by the boardroom instead of the creative team. As a result, you end up with a film that promotes environmental awareness while also seeming hesitant to fully embrace its own message. Even with that inconsistency, Hoppers is still a solid Pixar film. Its characters are charming, funny, and genuinely enjoyable, making it a stronger and more entertaining experience than many recent animated releases. The voice acting is excellent, and the animation is visually stunning. As mentioned earlier, although the first act feels a bit weak, the second half more than makes up for it, delivering an emotional and satisfying finale that ranks among Pixar's strongest endings. Hoppers had the potential to be something truly special, but it's another example of what can happen when executives influence storytelling instead of allowing the creative team to fully realize their vision. Even so, it's important to judge the movie for what it is rather than what it could have been, and the film we got is genuinely enjoyable. It won't appeal to everyone, but if you enjoy quirky, offbeat humor, there's a good chance you'll connect with it. If moments like the talking lizard made you laugh out loud, then you're probably the perfect audience for Hoppers. If those jokes didn't land for you, You still might find something to enjoy, but it likely won't become one of your favorite Pixar films anytime soon. The story follows Mabel, who lives alone in a house on the edge of hurricane weather's property and is determined to protect the glade. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry insists that all the animals have already left the area and argues that it's time to move forward with building a new freeway, even if it means destroying the glade. Throughout the film, Mabel repeatedly clashes with Mayor Jerry, who is focused on his election campaign and ambitious development plans, while she continues fighting to preserve the natural environment. Mabel protests the construction project by standing on the dam where dynamite has been placed. In response, the mayor gives her 48 hours to collect enough signatures to support her campaign. After spending an entire day facing rejection, Mabel helps an elderly man and passionately explains why protecting the glade is so important. She soon discovers that the man has hearing difficulties and mistakenly thought she was simply reminiscing about the glade. However, he believes the only way to convince the community is to find one of the beavers and show everyone that they still exist. After waiting all night, a beaver finally appears. Mabel follows it, only to see it captured and loaded into a van. She chases after the vehicle and eventually tracks the beaver to a secret laboratory at a university, where she witnesses the animal using a high-tech gateway device. Inside the lab, Mabel meets Dr. Sam and her research team. They reveal that the beaver is actually a highly advanced robot created after years of research. Dr. Sam has also developed several other robotic animals as part of the Hopper program. The Hopper program allows humans to transfer their consciousness into robotic animals, enabling them to communicate with wildlife and observe their natural habitats from up close. Realizing this could be the key to saving the glade, Mabel volunteers to participate in the program. She transfers her consciousness into the robotic beaver she had seen earlier and, despite Dr. Sam's objections, escapes from the laboratory. Shortly afterward, a large bird grabs her and carries her deep into the glade. When Mabel regains consciousness, she is amazed to find herself living inside the body of a beaver. As she begins exploring her new surroundings, she meets a laid-back beaver named King George. She even saves him from a hungry bear named Al, only to discover that, according to the forest's natural rules, the bear was simply hunting for food. Mel is taken in by the animals and introduced to King George, the wise ruler of the mammals. George has gathered the forest's animals into a massive shared home known as the Super Log, where they live and work together as one community. As Mel settles in, she learns about the animals' laws and the cooperative way they survive. Meanwhile, one of Dr. Sam's colleagues, disguises herself as a robotic bear to secretly observe Mel. When Mel tries to tell George about the danger facing the forest, she discovers that Mayor Jerry has erected a series of fake trees that emit a high-frequency sound only animals can hear, keeping them away from their home. Hope attempts to capture Mel and return her to the lab before she can interfere with the mayor's plans, but she fails. Mel manages to destroy the fake tree, allowing the animals to return to the forest. Once they arrive, they reclaim the glade and drive out the invaders. Shocked to see the animals back, Mayor Jerry responds by building even more factories after blowing up the dam. Desperate to stop him, Mel convinces King George to call a meeting of the Animal Council, which includes the Frog King, the Fish Queen, the Snake Queens, and the Butterfly Queen, who attends with her son, Cat Violet. At first, the council dismisses Mel's concerns. However, she delivers a heartfelt speech, warning that Mayor Jerry will not stop with the destruction of the glade and will eventually threaten every animal's home. Her words persuade the Butterfly Queen to take action, and she joins forces with the other animals to confront Mayor Jerry. As Mel tries to calm the escalating conflict, she accidentally causes the Butterfly Queen's death. The tragic mistake turns the remaining animals against both Mel and King George. The unity of the Super Log begins to fall apart, and George becomes furious with Mel, believing she has undermined his authority. The following day, Mayor Jerry prepares to launch his re-election campaign, confident that the growing chaos among the animals will only strengthen his position and make it even harder for anyone to stop him. Mabel and George secretly sneak into the mayor's car and use a text-to-speech app on his phone to communicate with him. During the confrontation, the birds unleash their apex predator, an assassin shark named Jana, who is sent to crash into the mayor's statue and assassinate him. Meanwhile, Dr. Sam and her colleagues become involved in the pursuit, determined to bring Mabel back safely. In the end, Mabel and George successfully stop Jan's attack, but the mayor's bodyguard, Dub, crashes during the chaos. Dr. Sam eventually recovers an unconscious Mabel and transforms her back into her human form, leaving George horrified as he finally learns the truth. Soon after, the council sends Strike and Trix to Dr. Sam's laboratory. Jerry and Nebus awaken to discover that they have been captured. The laboratory has been destroyed, and Dr. Sam and her team are being held hostage. They are forced to create a robotic clone of Jerry. The group soon learns the council's true plan. They intend to release poisonous spores from the fake tree to disguise themselves as humans before destroying humanity. Mabel and Jerry finally reconcile, finding common ground after everything they have been through. Jerry then transforms Mabel back into a beaver so the two of them can reunite with their allies. Adler makes one final attempt to reason with the council's leader, but he refuses to back down. He declares that once humanity has been wiped out, he will rule over the entire animal kingdom as well. As the fake tree begins releasing its deadly spores, Tusk rushes to use the last remaining tree to reactivate Jerry. Before he can finish, his face becomes trapped, preventing him from restoring Jerry's original form. Moments later, a falling tree destroys the machine, bringing the plan to a dramatic end. Titus is eaten once again by the hawk during the cleanup efforts as a wildfire begins spreading across the glade. With the communication transmitter damaged, the team is no longer able to stay in contact. Jon decides to help Mabel and orders his robotic observers to extinguish the fire before it can spread any further. Realizing the importance of protecting nature, Jerry chooses to support the cause by declaring the glade a protected wildlife preserve. He works alongside Mabel to restore and clean up the area, helping her achieve her dream of saving the glade. After graduating from college, Mabel returns to Dr. Sam's laboratory. Following the exposure of Hopper's program, Dr. Sam and her colleagues are removed from the project. Mabel later asks Dr. Sam for a job and is hired as her assistant, beginning an exciting new chapter in her career. In the film's final moments, Mabel returns to the glade and finds George sitting on the same rock where she once spent time with her grandmother. She sits beside him, and although they can no longer communicate with each other, their friendship remains as strong as ever. Although Hoppers is an original film from the animation studio, it still includes several fun references to past Pixar and Disney movies. One particular scene leans heavily into Pixar's long-running tradition of hidden Easter eggs. While many of these references are easy to miss during the first viewing, fans have already spotted numerous clever nods throughout the film, making repeat viewings even more rewarding. One subtle Easter egg appears early in the movie, where Hopper's face is briefly shown on a picture that references another Pixar film. At the beginning of the story, a young rebel is also seen playing with her pet turtle alongside several other animals. During this sequence, we learn that the turtle's name is Crush, an obvious and delightful reference to the beloved sea turtle from Finding Nemo. The film features a sea turtle named Crush, who, along with his son Squirt, befriends Marlin. Crush encourages Marlin to relax and not put so much pressure on himself while searching for Dory. It's also clear that the turtle in Hoppers was named as a tribute to this fan-favorite character. Another classic Pixar reference is the Pizza Planet truck, which has appeared in nearly every Pixar film since its debut in Toy Story. The truck is often hidden in the background or creatively redesigned to fit the unique world of each movie. So, where does it appear in Hoppers? Instead of showing the full-sized vehicle, Pixar includes it in a more subtle way. When Mabel is trying to escape from the school with the animals, a miniature model of the Pizza Planet truck can be spotted inside a display case. Although the filmmakers could have placed the truck somewhere more obvious, they chose a clever, harder-to-spot cameo that rewards attentive viewers. Mabel's bedroom also contains several fun references. Before her transformation, her phone case features artwork inspired by Up and Toy Story. Another interesting Easter egg isn't connected to Disney or Pixar at all. It pays tribute to director Daniel Chung. Before directing Hoppers, Chung created the hit Cartoon Network series We Bare Bears. Chung has confirmed that the three bears displayed in Mabel's bedroom are modeled after the main characters from We Bare Bears. The connection doesn't stop there. Several cast members from the series also lend their voices to Hoppers. Bobby Moynihan voices King George, Nikki Yang provides the voices for A Flock of Birds, and Eric Edelstein contributes additional voice work, although his exact role has not yet been confirmed. While Pixar is famous for including Easter eggs from its past films, the studio also has a long-standing tradition of referencing its own history. One of the most recognizable examples is A113, which appears in many Pixar productions. The number refers to a classroom at the California Institute of the Arts, where several renowned animators including John Lasseter studied. In Hoppers, A113 appears as Dr. Frog's room number. Continuing this beloved Pixar tradition, Sam's lab is located at Beaverchuck University, making the setting a fitting reference. In a way, Hopper comes full circle by returning to a college campus, where much of the story unfolds. One of the film's most noticeable references comes when the Avatar franchise is directly mentioned. As Mabel begins to understand how Dr. Sam's Hopper technology works, she immediately compares it to the Avatar films. Dr. Sam quickly dismisses the comparison, insisting that it's nothing like Avatar. Despite Dr. Sam's denial, the similarities between Hopper and Avatar are hard to ignore. Both stories revolve around a human protagonist whose consciousness is transferred into another body to connect with a different form of life. In Avatar, the hero inhabits the body of a Na'vi, while in Hopper, the transformation involves animals. The films also share themes of environmental conservation and criticism of corporate greed and capitalism. Even without the direct reference, the parallels would have been obvious. At least Hopper acknowledges these similarities and playfully addresses them. After Mabel is injured, she enters her beaver body for the first time and ventures into the wilderness. As she looks around in amazement, she realizes she can understand every animal she encounters. During this scene, the movie quietly includes a reference to Bambi. Although Bambi himself doesn't appear, a skunk and a rabbit are shown together, serving as a subtle nod to Flower and Thumper from Disney's 1942 animated classic. The ending of Hopper is packed with hidden Easter eggs. One of the biggest appears on a chalkboard in Dr. Sam's lab, where several of her future invention ideas are listed after the Hopper program begins. Among them is an idea for a special dog collar that translates the dog's bark into human speech. This invention is identical to the talking collars used by Doug and the other dogs in Up. If the Pixar shared universe theory is true, this could suggest that Dr. Sam played a role in developing the technology that eventually appeared in Up. It would also explain why Charles Muntz may not have known the complete story behind the invention. Producer Nicole Paradis-Grindle has previously hinted that Hopper's connection to Up is more than just a coincidence. She noted that director Daniel Chung intentionally included details that encouraged fans to make these connections. The chalkboard also reveals Dr. Sam's earliest invention, labeled Idea Number 8. Which appears to be a robotic cleaning machine. Its design is a clear reference to a famous cleaning robot, adding one more clever Easter egg for attentive viewers to discover.